Hey guys, Mathew Lighty here. I saw in a recent post from their set of spoilers for Quality of Life that in the upcoming expansion, you'll have the option to, oh my god, Mark, to roll strong boxes using currency set right up, like right next to the box, no longer have to click it. I'll actually just play the clip as Mark stops yelling at me. And then and we'll talk about what, like, the only thing that I really think that matters for that interaction, because the baseline usage of ambush kind of prevents this from being a thing, but...
In the Secrets of the Atlas expansion,
was yelling
and
at
as
me.
you may have recently seen from Path of Exile 2,
Mark, please.
we're making a change to how you use currency items on strongboxes and monsters imprisoned in essences. Based on the currency you have in your inventory and the state of the strongbox, it will display a set of buttons underneath the label.
My bit rate.
You can instantly click those buttons to immediately use the currency item they correspond to.
Alright, so that's basically it. So, the fact that there's a chance orb there means you could just keep pushing the chance button until it eventually hits unique, and then it should stop because they used the chance. But that doesn't make any sense though, because it's gone, and he still has chance orb. So it's like, you can't chance this because it's white, okay? But because you'd have to then hit the scour and then go between scour and chance, right, to actually do that. It looks like they're located in different spots, like chance is on the far right, and then scour's like between chaos and Val. So if they don't have the chance, like where would be under the same click of the scour, it'll be like incredibly annoying to go through that. And you can't scour a unique, so you couldn't misclick it that way, but you could fuck up by like valing it by accident. So this is like a cool change in that sense, that it's like does save you a little bit of time, but I don't see any scenario where I would be ever using this, and I'll explain further why. So we talked about how, like, if I wanted to chance unique strong boxes, which is a dog shit idea, just because like most of them are not very impactful at all. And then, aside from, like, maybe trying to find a red blade banner when Lighthouse isn't on the Atlas. And then it's like, how else would you utilize this for a non-corrupted strongbox? Well, I thought about it for a little bit. So, if Ambush is great to have on your Atlas, I love having Ambush as a supplemental, like, 15 points on my Atlas passive tree. It's super, super valuable. Just, you know, when kind of mapping to have that option of, like, gathering your shit currency or whatever. Typically, you don't even grab the two small ones, but you'll just pick 3 points up for a guaranteed. And in no scenario am I not picking up tamper-proof, which means they're always rare and corrupted. So all the currency from this new thing, you're never using it. You're never going to be able to click it because they're already corrupted and rare. So the fact that they're introducing this, which is just quality of life, also the fact that they're introducing it before there was an honorable mentions post in quality of life, which was their idea of showing a large portion of what they deemed less important, means they think that this change is important. And the only way that this change would be important is if tamper-proof didn't exist. Because there's no way I'm not running tamper-proof if I'm giving a shit about strong boxes ever, unless I'm trying to scour chance a unique one, and we just went over the fact that that's still 2 buttons that may not even be next to each other on the array of currency. So that's one whole other thing. Then the other thing you typically grab, I would say, is the backup cache for the currency duplication. And I like Vault of Mysteries for div card duplication, but I typically don't pick up Concealed Logistics, because maps very seldom drop from strong boxes. Since the spawn rate of strong boxes is known, and we know that Carto boxes are basically more rare than a unique, and also have conditions that when they spawn. So it's like, yeah, okay, so I'm always, if I'm ever giving a shit about strong boxes, I'm running this tree. That's typically in a scenario where I'm doing like a Val temple, right? Because I'm trying to get the most out of Val vessels through duplicate openings, etc. And then they're already corrupted, so again, you can't craft them. So in no scenario am I ever crafting strong boxes unless going for unique strong boxes. And the list of unique strong boxes, I have them all open here. You have Ashes of the Condemned, which is, I would say, worthless. Brine Rock Cache is worthless because the Brine Rock uniques are not worth anything. Mute Wind's in the same. Red Blade Banner, that's a fucking 10-ton fit. Red Blade Banner from Red Blade Cache is useful, but if you have Lighthouse on the Atlas, you would never chance strong boxes if you were doing in a scenario in solo self when you really want Red Blade Banner, because it's like the most useful of all the Warband's uniques, it would probably be through this in unique strongboxes or through Delve, because you can get the Renegade Red Blade areas and then guarantee spawn. Renegade cache is like okay-ish, but that's only when Pariah had Quant, and now that it has a rarity, I feel like it's just less worth it than to get White Socket one, so it's whatever. Strange Barrel, like every other strongbox is weighted. Like, yeah, there's a Beano's on here, and that's technically a T0, but they're heavily weighted, so you're not going to really see what you want. The Whalem run is the one for like pirate unique, so you could legally hit Fairgrace, but again, heavily weighted, so just you wouldn't give a shit. Counts is in the same situation. Desperate Storm is no good, it gives you shit items. Emperor Apparatus gives unique maps, which is like okay during Atlas setup. Maelstrom Call is the div one, which they try to make it in a way so like, oh, maybe you'll divine it to roll a certain stack number with a certain, but no, you're never fucking doing that. And Apprentice Bank is just, yeah, you've gotten 3 unique, so you're not really hunting unique strongboxes in a traditional sense, and if the framework isn't set up to do so with having the chance and Skyr next to each other, it wouldn't really be that big of a quality of life there. So the only way I think that this change makes sense, that they would put it before the honorable mention section, and they would put it in its own video as like, look at this quality of life that's important, I think, is if tamper-proof is being removed. So this is what I'm putting forth, is I think that they're going to change or remove tamper-proof, because otherwise I would never not run tamper-proof. Even if we look at like the ambush scarabs. So in the related scarabs, you have one that gives more strongboxes, great. One that gives many strongboxes in the air. Inhabitants are lying in ambush. This is Monstrous Treasure that they've just slapped into a scarab, great. More likely to be rarer, so you get more divination ones, more currency ones, great. Chance for reopenable, also great, especially for the Val Vessel area. And effective explicit on strongbox areas just makes the modifiers larger. 75, I do believe, makes things like the Singularity roll, which is 1 unique go to 2 uniques, but I just don't know how. Then I'd give a shit about potency, unless you're going to guarantee, maybe like as a one-off, but I probably would still put in 3 regular ambushes, and then like a rarity and like a more openable, or a Monstrous Treasure and a rarity. I just can't remember using potency that frequently, because it does give you more currency and stuff. It's just, to me, it's just the least impactful of the ones, I guess. But in any scenario, for all of these things, I'm still never not using tamper-proof, because this is, like, if tamper-proof didn't exist and this was already in the game of quality of life, tamper-proof would be the quality of life. It would be like, oh, you know, we know that you want this, or you could push one button and never have to worry about crafting strongboxes again, and still get all the great value of strongboxes. So then the conversation, I guess, becomes, if they're unidentifiable, because they do show in a section here on a rare strongbox that the only options here are to valid or identify, but if it was somehow unidentified rare, you'd just be able to identify it. If your blind opening strongboxes are ever giving a shit about them, your build is as such that you have things like freeze immunity, and you're not playing hardcore or not caring about detonate dead deaths, or your build is just built so that wouldn't be a problem. So it's like, I'm not checking strongboxes in 2025. I'm running tamper-proof, and then I'm doing that, and then strongboxes are fantastic. I still like them a lot. Little loot pinatas, and then I think the ambush scarabs are really, really good also. There's a fun variety of them, even when, like, you know, using in different combinations. But every scenario, I'm just trying to increase the amount, and then increase, like, the quality of them, or how many times I can open them in the case of the Val Temple one. But I'm never crafting them. So the only, my lizard brain thinks, all right, they're giving us quality of life for crafting it and making a point that this is important. The only way that this makes sense is if they bring tamper-proof out back, and I think they're going to shoot it. But otherwise, I'm never using that. So, yeah, long story long, Ambush is still fantastic, and I think the framework of Ambush on a Tree Early Atlas is great. So doing something like basic ambush setup, you know, like, I think a really healthy one is basic ambush setup, plus, you know, you have the Keurig map effect nodes, and then you have, like, the little map nodes. The pathing in this tree is not going to be good. I understand that. Grabbing the map nodes, grabbing ambush, and then I really like grabbing shrines. And this is kind of like your poor man's back to basics, you know, in 2025, is some tree like this where it's like, oh, I want map effect, I want scarabs, I want shrines, and then maybe you tack on something like, oh yeah, scarabs, I mentioned scarabs, but like I would throw scarabs in this mix also. And this is like, you know, the world's most vanilla tree of, I don't typically care about doing much content, or I don't care what shows up. I just want to do all the secondary content, like the spawnable content for locking things like breaker boxes off, the things like the, you know, where it says extra content at the bottom, ultimatum are extra content. You know, like the extra content portion is things like shrines, things like boxes, things like rogue exiles that just like passively spawn, never really interact with the fact that you're going to hit like a mechanic cap, because for those who don't know, there are mechanic caps. So like if I'm spawning 7 legions in a zone, I also can't spawn 7 breaches. There's just not going to be enough room. There's like a minimum amount of room required to spawn a certain number of mechanics. But from my perspective and my history of engaging with this, I don't think that really exists ever for strongboxes. It might exist for shrines, but we've never been able to make an atrocious amount of shrines. But for something like an ultimatum and exped, like breach, that you can only have so many things on a map before the map stops spawning them. A lot of people felt this in Affliction League when we had things like ambush, and you're pushing ambushes to a really high number, like maybe 7 ambushes or 8 abysses, 7 abysses on a map, and you would like start to lose abysses even though you were guaranteed them. It's because the map can only have so much shit. But strongboxes like don't occupy a lot of space in game for some reason, and you'll get it so like it would rather overlap strongbox spawns than call a strongbox. So I always like ambush as a secondary mechanic. But yeah, I know I've said it 90 times in this video, and I'm about to end this video in like 5 seconds. But the only way I think that this quality of life makes sense retroactively, historically, for this to really be remotely impactful is if they bring tamper-proof out back and shoot it in the fucking head. You know, it's gonna get the Negan treatment. It's gonna get, you know, Spike batted in The Walking Dead. So yeah, tamper-proof on Suicide Watch. I'm just making this bold claim now. Otherwise, quality of life to me feels negligible. I don't understand it. But if you guys have anything you could think of where it's like, oh, I'm definitely not running tamper-proof, and this quality of life makes a lot of sense for me, I'd love to hear it, because I've never once engaged with that in the history of strongboxes. Outside of the unique, trying to get a unique one, which has always been bait, and doesn't seem like it'll be so easy given the positioning of the, where the fuck is it, of the currencies. So yeah, let me know what you guys think. But tamper-proof, watch your back.